What is happening in New England right now might define the entire direction of this franchise, and I really do not think that is an overstatement. We are talking about a massive extension looming, the defensive front potentially getting stronger through the draft, the possibility of a blockbuster move still hanging in the air, and the pressure building for this team to finally give its young quarterback the kind of support that changes everything. These are not random off-season stories. These are signals, real signals. And when Foxborough starts sending signals like this, Patriots fans better pay attention. So if you are locked in on where this team is headed, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay with me to the end because this feels like one of those moments where a much bigger plan might be starting to reveal itself. Let's start with the biggest pressure point on the board because this one is huge. The Patriots are staring at a reality they cannot avoid with Christian Gonzalez. And once you really look at it, this thing is not complicated. Christian Gonzalez is going to get paid. The only real question is whether New England is going to move fast enough to get ahead of the explosion or whether they are going to sit there and watch the market get even uglier. That is the fact layer here. New England reportedly started discussing a looming mega extension for Christian Gonzalez at the scouting combine. There is also the fifth-year option decision sitting right there before the deadline. And the market at corner is not standing still. It is climbing, fast. Especially after the Rams handed Trent McDuffie a monster guarantee number, and with Devin Witherspoon still looming as another player who could push that market even higher. Now here's where the pressure really kicks in. This is not about whether Gonzalez deserves to be paid. He absolutely does. This is about timing. If the Patriots act now, they might still be able to frame this as a painful but manageable deal. If they wait, then they are basically betting against the market, and in the NFL that is usually a losing bet. Because all it takes is one more major corner deal, one more front office deciding to reset the numbers, and suddenly Christian Gonzalez's camp has even more leverage than it already has. And let's be honest here, Christian Gonzalez is not just some nice young player you can swap out and replace with draft capital. That sounds good in theory, but that is how teams fool themselves. Cornerback is a premium position, and Christian Gonzalez has already shown the kind of value that teams spend years trying to find. When you find that kind of player, you do not play cute. You do not start fantasizing about moving him for picks and pretending it is the same thing. It is not. Could someone bring up the idea of a blockbuster trade? Sure. Could people argue that New England should save future money for Drake May's eventual mega extension? Of course. But if the Patriots are serious about rebuilding real authority in Foxborough, then this is the kind of moment where they have to act like a serious franchise. They cannot rebuild culture and then get cheap with one of the most important pillars of the roster. My read? Pick up the option, control the timeline, and then get the Christian Gonzalez extension done before Devin Witherspoon pushes the market even higher. That is the move. That is the smart move. That is the Patriots' first move. And if Robert Kraft wants this next era to have real teeth, this is exactly the kind of check he has to be ready to sign. Patriots fans, I need to hear from you on this. Would you lock in Christian Gonzalez right now with massive guaranteed money, or would you risk waiting and watch the number climb even higher? Now let's shift to a move that might not be as flashy on the surface, but if you know football, you know this matters. The Patriots hosting Ohio State defensive tackle Kaden McDonald for a top 30 visit is not some throwaway little draft nugget. That is a signal. That is New England telling you it is taking a hard look at adding more force, more depth, and more long-term power to the interior of this defense. And honestly, that makes a ton of sense. Kaden McDonald is coming off the best season of his career. He was a key piece of Ohio State's defensive front, put up real production, showed he could make plays in the backfield, and helped anchor one of the top defenses in the country. This is not just a giant body taking up space. This is a player who flashed impact against serious competition. And for a Patriots team that still wants its identity to run through defense, that matters. Here is the bigger read. New England is not just looking for stars. It is looking for structure. It is looking for sustainability. It is looking for the kind of interior defensive line rotation that lets everybody else eat. And when you think about how Kaden McDonald could fit next to Christian Barmore and Milton Williams, that is where it starts getting interesting. Because suddenly you are not just adding depth, you are potentially adding another layer of violence and disruption to a front that could become a real problem. And let's not overlook the roster-building side of this. The Patriots lost Khyiris Tonga in free agency. You do not replace that by wishing it away. You replace it by identifying young players who can grow into meaningful roles and keep the unit strong over time. Kaden McDonald feels like exactly that kind of target. He would not have to walk in and be the savior. He could rotate, develop, learn, and gradually become part of a defensive line that starts giving Foxborough that old nasty edge again. That is how real defenses are built, not just with one headline name, but with waves, with interior toughness, with guys who can close space, force attention, and make life easier for the stars around them. And if the Patriots are serious about staying strong on defense for the long haul, this kind of draft move would make a lot of sense. So let me throw it to you. Should New England prioritize a player like Kaden McDonald in the draft to strengthen the trenches, or do you think the bigger need still has to be addressed somewhere else? Now let's get to the one that really fires people up, because this is the kind of possibility that can change the ceiling of your defense overnight. Maxx Crosby. The trade saga may have cooled off for now, and the Ravens may have backed out, but the idea that Maxx Crosby could re-enter the trade conversation later, that is still hanging there. And if that door opens again, the Patriots should absolutely be paying attention. Let's be clear with the facts. The Raiders have said they want to keep Maxx Crosby, and sure, maybe that is the plan today. But if there was already willingness to entertain a deal once, then it is not crazy to believe this could circle back later, especially if Crosby gets healthy, gets back on the field, and reminds everybody exactly who he is. That is where things could get very real very fast. And if that happens, the Patriots cannot sit this out like spectators. Because Maxx Crosby is not just another good pass rusher. Maxx Crosby is the kind of player who changes offensive game plans before the ball is even snapped. He is the kind of defender who forces extra protection, speeds up quarterbacks, wrecks third downs, and makes your whole defense more dangerous just by existing on the field. That kind of player changes everything. If New England does not come out of the draft with a true difference maker off the edge, or if the internal options do not give them enough juice, then going after Maxx Crosby later on starts making a whole lot of sense. Yes, the price would be high. Of course it would. But elite talent costs elite assets. That is the business. And if the Patriots want to put this defense over the top instead of just making it respectable, Maxx Crosby is exactly the kind of swing that tells the league Foxborough is done playing small. That is what makes this so fascinating. This is not just about talent. It is about ambition. It is about whether the Patriots are willing to attack a weakness with force instead of patience. Because if you add Maxx Crosby to a defense that is already trying to rebuild its identity, suddenly you are talking about a unit that can punch people in the mouth every single week. So tell me straight, if Maxx Crosby becomes available again by the trade deadline, would you go all in and pay the price, or would you stay patient and try to build that pass rush another way? And finally, we get to the rumor that just will not die, A.J. Brown. This has been the loudest Patriots storyline of the offseason, and every time it looks like the noise might fade, something else drags it right back into the spotlight. Photos, speculation, whispers, fan theories, national debate, all of it. But the latest public intel says there is no handshake agreement in place to send A.J. Brown to New England. Officially, nothing is done. That is the fact. But let's talk about why Patriots fans still cannot let this go. Because even without confirmation, the fit is obvious. A.J. Brown is exactly the kind of receiver who would change the temperature of this offense overnight. He brings presence, he brings physicality, he brings production, he brings fear. And when you are trying to build the right environment for Drake May, that kind of target is not a luxury. It feels like a necessity. That is why this rumor has so much life. It is not just blind hope, it is football logic. The Patriots need more from the receiving corps. If A.J. Brown were somehow to land in New England, it would instantly change how defenses look at this offense and instantly give Drake May a much stronger platform to grow from. That is why fans keep circling back to it. And then there is the timing angle. Sometimes a move is not dead. Sometimes it is just waiting for the right financial window. That does not prove A.J. Brown is coming. It does not make the rumor true. But it absolutely explains why people are still watching this so closely instead of burying it. Because if this does not happen, then the conversation shifts hard. It becomes, okay, if not A.J. Brown, then what exactly was the plan? Is Romeo Doubs enough? Is a rookie enough? Is that really the level of aggression this front office thinks is acceptable when your young quarterback needs real help? That is where the pressure ramps up fast. So this rumor is bigger than just A.J. Brown. It is about what the Patriots are willing to do for Drake May. It is about whether this team is truly ready to think big on offense. It is about whether Foxborough understands that half measures are not going to satisfy this fan base anymore. And when you step back and look at all of it together, that is the real story in New England right now. Christian Gonzalez extension situation is screaming for action. Kaden McDonald's visit points to real trench planning in the draft. Maxx Crosby still feels like the kind of blockbuster possibility the Patriots should monitor closely. And A.J. Brown remains the rumor that captures exactly what this fan base wants to see from the offense. Not everything here is confirmed. Not everything here is guaranteed to happen. But the signs are on the table. The direction is there. The urgency is real. The only question now is whether Foxborough is actually going to turn these signals into action. Because if they do, this team could become a lot more dangerous a lot faster than people expect. So drop your take in the comments right now. Which move matters most? Paying Christian Gonzalez, drafting Kaden McDonald, swinging big for Maxx Crosby, or chasing A.J. Brown for Drake May? Like, share, subscribe, and stay locked in, because if even part of this comes together, the Patriots are not just trying to come back. They are trying to come back swinging.